Alright, this is going to be a pin holder change rebuild. This is going to be rebuild for the pin holder. I won't show you how to grease this up yet. I'll make another video for that. But for this, all you're going to need is a flathead screwdriver, and that is going to be it. So I'm going to start off with taking off my micro switch clip. It's held in the back with the housing. So I'm going to go ahead and reach down in there and pop it out of its housing. Now that it's out, I can pull it off. And now I'm going to untuck my micro switch through my solenoid. Alright, so after I got it pulled through, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on its front. I'm going to have another tab here in front that I'm going to want to press down so that I can get my solenoid past it. As I'm pressing down on this tab, I want to make sure I'm applying back pressure so that way whenever it gets past the tab, it can go past it and stay past it. So you want to make sure that you're not pressing down too hard on this tab, because if you break this tab, the holder is trash. You're going to have to buy a new holder or get a new holder from wherever you get it from. So after I press down, apply pressure, the moment it's off, I don't need it anymore. So now I'm going to press down on it and then kind of wiggle it out, make sure I'm still pressing down to keep the tab down. And then once it's out, set that off to the side and we're done. Alright, so now I'm going to take out my plunger and spring. Next, I'm going to take off my grippers. So, on the gripper, there is a tab itself on the side here. Side angle is better to kind of see. I'm going to press in that tab on both sides, and then I'm going to apply pressure on the front here, so that way whenever I pass the tabs, it'll be able to come off. So I'm going to press in on it. It's off. Now I'm going to slide out. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Let's go up, press in on tab, apply pressure, hold on to it, that way it doesn't shoot off like it did last time, and you're good to go on that. Now we're going to go for our gear in the back. It's on some slots, so we're going to go ahead and slide it up and out. Now we have a torsion spring on our switch lever here. We're going to go the opposite way to come around here. And now I'm going to rotate a little bit and then pull it off. Now to get the switch lever off itself, I'm going to come to the front. There's a grip ring up here in front. Now you can use your flathead screwdriver to get in there and pop it up, but you can also use your hand, your finger, if you have enough strength for that. You got to get up a little bit and then use a little slot at the top to pull it off. You'll do this slowly and softly. You can't lose this grip ring. And they will be hard to find. Now I'm going to take off my switch finger in front here. I've got another tab that I'm going to need to press in. So once I get that pressed and pulled in, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate it opposite way, so that way it releases itself off the spring. So if I go straight past this without pressing this tab in, if this tab breaks, the holder is trash also. So make sure you're rotating it slowly enough to where it doesn't break this tab, but make sure you press that tab in all the way. You can also put a flathead screwdriver in there, but just be cautious of putting a flathead screwdriver to press that in, because you can break that tab more easily without trying to. Once that's off, everything in my front is off on my holder. Go ahead and rotate to the back. Now that I got my grip ring off, I can pull my switch lever off and out. Now I've got my switch button back here. So I'm going to grab my torsion spring that I had from my switch lever. I'm going to go ahead and press that inside of my switch button here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it on the inside. I'm going to put it in the slot here. The slot that's right here. I'm going to poke it in there and try to bypass the clip that's on the inside of there. So I'm going to press it in, put my spring in on the inside, and then as I get in between that, you'll feel it not want to come up. So then I'm going to go ahead and pull out, and I should be able to pull it all the way through. So what I was doing was, I was putting this like this. I'm trying to press this in so that way it doesn't get clipped in on the inside of that. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and take my spring out for that, for my switch button, and that's the housing. That's taking the pin holder apart. If you got to rebuild it or whatnot, grab your new parts and get that all cleaned and lubricated, and then go ahead and put this back together. Again, I'll show another video on how to lubricate this later. But right now, this is just the disassemble and reassemble of the pin holder. So I'm just going to repeat my steps here. Put my spring back in. Make sure you put that spring back in for the switch button, because if you don't, it's going to be extremely hard to get that back out. Get this back out without that spring in there. So I'm going to go ahead and press that in. Again, you can't put this in wrong at all. Really can only go in one way. So I'm going to go ahead and put my switch lever back in. This can only go in one way too. I'm going to grab my grip ring in front. So there's slots on the switch lever. Make sure you press that in and down firmly all the way, because if you have that moving around, it's going to cause issues with your macro switch and loading issues. Since I'm already in the front, once I got that in, I'm going to go ahead and put my switch finger back in. So as I put this in, I'll make sure I got it in the slot down here at the bottom. And then also, whenever I tuck in my top side, make sure I tuck in from the top here. And then as I press in, I want to make sure I move these springs out of the way. Because if I go in and just full send it, I'll break those springs. So make sure once it's in, those springs aren't broken, and you're good to go. So now that I'm good there, I'm going to go ahead and grab my torsion spring from earlier. That goes on my switch lever. I'm going to go ahead and put that back on here. So there's going to be a little groove on the switch lever. You make sure you press it all the way down on so that way it sits firmly. So once I press it in, I'm going to want to drop it down below the first slot, and then bring the other part of my spring around to the other side. So bring it all the way around. Make sure you get it in that slot. So make sure you're down and below the first one, and then on top of the second one. And below the top on the second one. And then make sure you're down in the grooves for that. So now I'm going to grab my gear. I'm going to go ahead and slide it. There's some gears back here. Make sure you slide it behind those gears, and it goes down. Whenever you try to pull on it, it doesn't want to come out. If you have it in front, you're sitting there, it's not in there. So make sure you slide back, down, and you're in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab my grippers. Press those in and all the way. So now with my gears here, I want to make sure that my teeth are down. Make sure my teeth are down when installing them. So you're going to want to match up the little slot with the slot on the gripper itself. So once you get that aligned up, you'll make sure that your teeth are pointed down. Now you can get the slot aligned up, but then your teeth are up. That's going to be wrong. Your timing is going to be off. So make sure your slot's lined up and then your teeth are down. So once they are down, I'm going to go ahead and press that in. And then notice, you want to make sure that your teeth, the gripper teeth, are on top of the gear here. You want that to be flush and smooth on top. So teeth on top, put here on top of the gear. I'm going to repeat the exact same step on the opposite side. Align my gear, make sure my teeth are down, press it in, smooth on top, good there. Now I'm going to press in my plunger and spring. Now to make sure, as I install my solenoid, that I make sure I have all my wires on the right side of the pin holder itself. So that way it lines with my slots for my housing itself. So as I go through and put this on top, I want to make sure that I press it against that tab in the back. That way I can actually push it on. So make sure your wires are out the way. You don't want to pinch these wires that you're trying to put them down. Once that snaps in, you know you're good to go. Now I'm going to tuck my wires back behind. Put the top one in the slot. Now after I put the top one in the slot, I'm going to wait for the rest. I'm going to go ahead and put my micro switch back in. So I'm going to grab my clip. I'm just going to set it on there. I'm going to put it in the slot. Then I'm going to grab my flathead screwdriver and make sure I hear and feel it click into place. you'll feel it budge. You know it's in there, because whenever you tug on it, it's not going to come out. If it's not in there, it will slide out immediately. So now I'm going to put the rest of my wire in on the slot in the housing. Now I'm going to tuck my wires behind, put my connector in the slot, and then you're good to go. Make sure your spring's in, that's moving appropriately, your gears are lined up, switch finger, your counterweight is also on the pin holder, and that is your pin holder disassemble and reassemble.